apparently talkSport is still banned. Deal with them in an argument.
Yeah.
Deal with them by putting them in their place. In fairness, Sam, when people got on my nerves at football clubs like journalists, I did throw them out of press conferences.
I wasn't saying that John Fury shouldn't be anywhere near Tyson. I just don't think he should be in the corner.
Too much noise that comes from John Fury.
We're going to teach Tyson about boxing now.
What did you take from the press conference, anyway?
Nothing. Thought it was a waste of time.
All he'll be thinking and all he'll be seeing on YouTube is him getting chinned. He'll be thinking, I can beat Daniel Dubois.
I think that AJ has picked up a few injuries through them and he won't be ready for February the 22nd.
Why have I got fucking Ryland laughing at me here?
Eubank Jr. against Canelo is not competitive.
Right,
in
fine.
your words, it's a grotesque mismatch.
Welcome to episode 93 of Talk Boxing with Simon Jordan and Spencer Oliver. And today we're joined by the quiet, unassuming and introverted Sam Jones. Fresh from a big evening on Saturday evening.
Yes.
Sam, nice to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Before we get into Jack and all the achievements that he had on Saturday night against Regis Prograis, let's get into the Usyk and Fury presser and what we managed to deduce from it. What we managed to deduce from it, Spence, is that apparently talkSport is still banned. How could that possibly be? Who could have achieved that for us?
Do you know what? We only found out on the day, actually, a couple of hours before we were going. The day before we was going, and a couple of hours before we found out we was banned. But we done the undercard.
What's the matter with these children?
You tell me about it. Like,
I mean, how childish
I don't
have you got
understand
to
what
be?
it is.
What do you think about a major sports platform? Put aside personalities, whether people like me have upset people, but what do you think about a major broadcaster saying things that you don't agree with, but being banned from events? Do you think that's a potentially grown-up, serious look to have? Or do you think it's just a consequence of, I tell you what, you out, not having any of your nonsense?
I just think maybe Tyson's at a point in his life where he's like, if he doesn't want something to be there, he's made hundreds of millions. It's just down to his day. But I just think that relationships can be repaired. I think it might take you having a chat with him over a cup
Well, you
of
can
tea
blow it out of his
somewhere.
arse. Nothing's been said that's been controversial. Nothing's been said that's disrespectful. Tyson Fury can't run around saying what he wants and then no one comes back at him. And I know that Frank wants everyone to factor in that he's got bipolarity and everything should be factored into that equation, so he can never say anything pleasant. You can only say anything unpleasant things. I would just like to, I picked Tyson Fury to win this fight. I'd like to see him win the fight. Yeah. And I just think it's a bit silly and childish to continue banning people. But I also, in fairness, Sam, when people got on my nerves at football clubs like journalists, I did throw them out of press conferences. And I did ban
So you
them.
understand it. You totally understand it.
But that's
So you
me.
understand it.
But that's me, and that's them.
When you have dough though, you've earned loads of dough. You can.
It depends.
Listen,
It depends if someone steps across a line. If someone, nobody in the talkSport building said anything derogatory about Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
What was said about Tyson Fury was a question raised by Alexander Usyk. This is well rehearsed. Usyk's team accused him of ducking the fight.
Yeah.
The question was posed on the platform by Usyk's management. The people on the building said, if he did do that, then it would be wrong. End of conversation. No one heard anything about it. Up pops the Ngannou fight. Everybody starts going, this is a shit fight. Why is the WBC heavyweight champion of the world getting involved with an
A lot
MMA
of people
fight?
had that
And
opinion.
then everybody, and all of a sudden it became, hang on a second, we're going to ban talkSport because we said something 6 months earlier, which is completely different.
But what they missed out was the if bit.
Of course
if he ducks Usyk, when he was boxing Usyk, so he wasn't ducking him. So I think what it was the YouTube out.
Everyone had the same opinion though, didn't they, at the time? Like they were thinking, why is he fighting Ngannou and not Usyk? But if the Usyk fight was planned like it was afterwards, then it's all good.
It was the YouTube outlets that were the people that were responsible for it because they were picking out certain individual bits that Simon had said.
Yeah.
And presenting it to Tyson, and Tyson not doing his homework on what was really said,
and seeing
reacted to it. And I think that was where the problem
Do
is.
better is the argument. Yeah. Do better. If you don't like what someone said and it's not fair, hold them to that standard and make them account for it and deal with them in an argument.
Yeah.
And deal with them by putting them in their place. And everyone that said anything that's wrong in their eyes should be able to be dealt with. Anyway, banned we are, and we'll see if that manifests itself.
Well, we done the undercard, to be fair. We went the following day to the undercard.
Sure, and that has its own merits, but the fact of the matter is that the headline is Fury versus Usyk or Usyk versus Fury, as it should be this time round.
Cracking undercard though.
Yeah, great undercard. Absolutely great set of fights. And another monumental event. But when you look at the two fighters, I mean, I thought we looked like Charles Bronson out of the film Bronson. You know that Bronson, with that Tom Hardy played the character Bronson rather than Agent 47. But when you looked at the two of them, I mean, I think Frank was talking about how Tyson looks and physically how he's prepared, and now we've got into a different set of circumstances that he's already prepared, and now he's going into a mindset of really being prepared for this fight. How do you think the fighters both looked?
They looked great. Both of them, I think there's mutual respect there in this build-up, and there will be because of what they've both been through. They both understand exactly what it is. They both know what they're going into next. And I think Tyson played the right card there by not going in there and insulting Usyk and saying it was the easiest fight, actually. I mean, I couldn't believe how easy it was, even though he lost the fight. I think he went in there and there was sort of you could feel the mutual respect between the two.
Be ridiculous for him not to, will he? And he's also changed his shtick, hasn't he? Because he said in the last 2 or 3 months that he's won this fight. In the presser, he conceded the fact that, albeit the narrowest of margins in his mind, he's now conceded the fact that he actually lost the fight. So that's a different approach.
He has to, doesn't he? He has to get his head around the fact that there's a red stain against his record, whether he wants it there or not. It's about picking yourself up, and this is now do or die for Tyson. He has to win the rematch, doesn't he, against Usyk? I thought they both looked like good. They didn't. Usyk dressed as a psychotic hitman, and Tyson Fury was he was himself, but he wasn't like being as sarcastic as what he would normally be, and a bit more bullish. He was just like he's ready for the rematch. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it wasn't a press conference that caught light. It's very difficult to have a press conference when people are being monosyllabic. I don't see the purpose of it. If you're going to do a press conference, it's because you want to create.
Yeah,
the fight itself sells itself. But if you're going to put the two major protagonists in there, you want a little bit more than yes, no, no, yes,
100%.
and a bit of facetiousness going on.
I think the promoters probably.
But that's always going to come from Tyson Fury's side. Alexander Usyk, that's his character anyway. You'll get a no, yes, and a feel maybe, and that's all you're going to get from him. But it was interesting, Alexander Usyk actually going up and getting Tyson Fury. So he started the mind games already by getting Tyson Fury to sign the picture of him smacking Fury before he went down in that ninth round. That was interesting, doing that, and Fury not taking the bait and signing the picture.
I mean, does he strike you as a sort of person, Usyk, that plays mind games?
No, he doesn't allow anyone to play mind games with him. I think that there's a certain element of Alexander Usyk that will play mind games. I'll go back to when he boxed Tony Bellew. Now, when he boxed Bellew in the build-up to that one, he was clowning around a lot, and there was a lot of mind games and a lot of like
putting
weird
his
eyes and head over the top and stuff like that. And that was playing mind games. Like he does, like there's a jokey side to it, but he knows exactly what he's doing. He's very smart in the way he does it.
What do you think about a lot of noise in the corner for Tyson Fury in the first fight, and now we seem to have similar participants? Does Sugar Hill still merit being in Tyson Fury's corner?
100%.
The absence of John Fury,
He's
and
good.
a lot of was made about that. Do you think
good.
that's a good thing?
Yeah, because it's too much noise that comes from John Fury. I think Sugar Hill and Andy Lee are great students of the game. They understand the game. They're two good voices that you need in there. They'll understand when to be loud and when to pull it back and be calm. They're the two voices you need in the corner. John Fury is very loud and brash, and that maybe you don't need that.
Because Daniel Dubois' father is quite vociferous and was summoned into certain
different
situations.
character, though.
It's a different character. I mean, listen, John Fury pulled me up about it at the Joshua fight. He wasn't happy with my with my comments about.
What did you say?
I said that there was too many voices in Tyson's corner. I think having 3 voices all bellowing instructions at you is not good for anyone. That's just my opinion. You're more qualified than me, Spencer, to give your opinion on that. But I just thought that he needs Sugar Hill there and Andy Lee. His dad can be around because he's his dad. Listen, what everyone thinks about John Fury, wants his son to win, right? But shouting different instructions to your son in front of Sugar Hill, who is the main trainer.
Taking over is a problem.
Yeah, exactly. Emotions. It's like when my dad used to watch me play football not very well. He would shout instructions at me that you probably shouldn't say. Do you know? It's a hard one. But I wasn't saying that John Fury shouldn't be anywhere near Tyson. I just don't think he should be in the corner. That's my opinion. My opinion won't change on that. I think he should have Andy Lee in there, a cut man, and Sugar Hill. That's all he needs. And someone to put the stool in the ring.
I also think it's a smart move by Tyson Fury not changing the corner, by the way. I think that, they're both educated enough to make those slight adjustments. There doesn't need to be a big change. It wasn't like a one-sided landslide victory for Alexander Usyk. Tyson Fury never got knocked out and he had to make these major changes.
Close to being knocked out.
Yeah, absolutely. But he got through it as well.
Someone suggested the referee saved him in the ninth round.
But he also got through it. This is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there doesn't need to be major changes in the corner. There needs to be changes from Tyson Fury in his performance.
Okay, so is he going to make? Because he said he's not going to. He said on an interview with TNT that he doesn't have any adjustments to make. You've mentioned adjustments and not having adjustments in the same breath. No. Is he going to have to make adjustments?
Absolutely. You never know with Tyson, do you? Because Tyson says one thing and then does the other the following day. You never know. But I agree with Spence. I think that he should keep the Andy Lee and the Sugar Hill, because at 30, what is Tyson now? He's a year older than me, so he's 36?
Yeah,
he's 36 years old. We're going to teach Tyson about boxing now. He knows what he has to do, and I think he was performing well in the fight. And then it kind of got away from him, and Usyk was closing the distance down, and he was landing cleaner shots on him, and then ultimately, as you say, he was close to being stopped. But in a fight,
because the big question going into the fight, wasn't there, and it was being mooted in certain quarters, was that there was a feeling that Fury stands in the middle of the ring now and goes toe-to-toe with people because he doesn't have the ability anatomically anymore to be able to do the things that he once did. By that I mean, in plain speaking English, he can't move like he used to. Is that,
when you go back to like...
Is that true? Or do you think that's just
2015, when he beat Klitschko, there was a lot of movement. He was light on his feet. Of course, as you get older, you have to make those adjustments. We saw that with Floyd Mayweather later on in his career. And I think for Fury, going into this one, the more I've been thinking about this one, we're talking about him having to go in there and bully him and close the space. That's what Usyk deals with, though. He'll move all day, and that's probably playing into Usyk's
just
hands.
needs to use his attributes. He's very long. He's got longer arms than him, and he should just do what he does.
He needs to allow Usyk actually to come into his space.
Yeah.
And do you know what I mean? So really, I think that by holding his ground and being that's probably the only way that he will beat him. Because I think that by going in there and trying to forcefully push the fight, Usyk will outsmart him on the back foot, because I think that's what he does so well.
Well, Usyk knows now, doesn't he, as a matter of course, that he can hurt Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
And do we see... I mean, Fury fought Wilder too, in a way that most people thought that he couldn't fight him, which was stand in the middle of the ring because he felt his power in the first fight and take him on fire meeting fire.
He bullied the bully.
And he bullied the bully.
Yeah.
Does it require that sort of performance against Usyk, and has he got it left in him to do if it does?
I think, I think with Alexander Usyk, actually, where I thought he actually needs to go in there and close that space and bully him, I think that tactically that wouldn't be the right move now, because thinking about it, I think that by Fury just holding his ground and allowing Usyk to come into his space when he has to, and then firing with Usyk, that's probably the best tactics for him, catching him as opposed to chasing him and getting caught on the way in when you feel the punches twice as hard as well. So I think that actually it's not about bullying him, using his size and all that, because that ain't going to work.
Tyson did hurt him to the body a few times, especially in the early rounds. He was hurting Usyk to the body a lot. So I think that they will look into that and think that this could be.
But that's what they've all said about Usyk, haven't they? I mean, Frank Warren made a big stock out of the damage that Dubois did, and we obviously saw the damage.
I still think that was a legitimate dig from Danny.
It was legitimate.
I still think it was legitimate.
I was at ringside, mate. I don't care what people say. That
shot all the fight. You see it all the fight. You see it. Listen, it's another subject, but you see it all the time.
What did you take from the press conference? Anyway,
nothing. Thought it was a waste of time.
What did you? Yeah, but I mean, you must have sensed something from the body language of the pair of them.
Nothing.
You can see that there was a lot of respect there.
I didn't expect anything different from Tyson Fury, because it's going to be difficult to go into an auditorium and start saying rabbit and middleweight and all that sort of stuff, because you've already lost to the fella. You've nearly been knocked on your backside by him.
He got out of the car, didn't he? And they asked him, "Are you ready for the fight?" And he went, "Nope." It's just Tyson being like Tyson knows, like you say, he has to go there a bit. His demeanour was different.
And I think it needed to be. I mean, I think the Tyson Fury that was talking about needing to be treated as a national treasure and not have to queue at airports and be given tax concessions for all the benefits he brought into this country was just nonsense, and it needed a bit of levelling. I still picked him to win that fight, and for whatever reason, and it might just be because I actually want him to win, despite his attitude towards me.
What do you think he needs to do differently in this fight yourself? Like, I'll just give you the breakdown of what I feel now. Actually, more I thought about it, where I thought he had to go on the front foot, now I'm thinking, no, actually let him come into your space. That's probably going to get more success. What do you think?
I think he's got to do some of the things that you've said. I think he's got to use his size and his weight. He's got to lean all over Usyk and make it a difficult fight for Usyk and use the strength that he's got.
Yeah, make it a bit more of a messy affair.
Yeah.
Bully him a little bit.
I think you've got to bully him. If you're 6'9" and weigh 20, whatever how much you weigh, 23 stone, and you're fighting someone that's 6'1", 6'2", that weighs 16 stone, what do you think they've got to do? Well, they're going to have to do some of that, aren't they?
Absolutely, of course you have. But I think that Usyk is the master of using that lack of height and that lack of weight to his advantage. You know, he always
uses his size against him.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is a puzzle for him, though, isn't it? It is a puzzle for him because arguably this is the first time that Fury's been in a ring with a better boxer than him. Potentially.
And the pressure's kind of like, do you know when you've lost as well? Like, I'm not saying
I agree with that, totally.
The pressure's kind of like he's lost. So Tyson will probably go in there thinking that people are probably expecting him to lose again. So he'll go in there with you say he had a lot. He's had some issues out the ring before the fight. He's going there with maybe a fresher mind.
Well, you bring that up, and I think it's important to make this point because I don't think anyone sought to make it a discussion point before the previous fight. But going into this fight against Usyk, and we hear some of the noise about rabbit and ugly and middleweight and all that stuff, and we lose context when you hear other aspects of he had a cut before this fight, and then you hear the human tragedy of his wife miscarrying at a difficult stage for him, for her, of course. These are things that need to be priced in, because if you have children, I have children,
100,
and then you have you lose a child, it is a very difficult mindset to be prepared for battle on.
I've got to say,
his wife Paris comes to all of his fights, so for her to not go there and obviously to give him that news over a phone before he's fighting, I don't care what kind of person you are, that's going to mess with you.
I've got to tell you,
badly.
With what a fighter goes through in a build-up to a fight, with the psychological stuff and everything else that goes with that, because the pressures building up to the fight of that magnitude as well, and then being told that the day before the fight, I'd go respect to Tyson Fury for like dealing with that, because that is a serious head. I mean, and you've got to respect that.
Of course it is. I mean, in any sport, any individual sport, not just combat sports, if you have a distraction of some significant
situation... Even if you're at work at a 9-to-5 job, if you got that,
you can't have
let alone going there and having a scrap with the whole world looking at you.
It changes your mindset, though. From a fighter's perspective, it changes their mindset as into, so now he's got a game plan. He's going in there with a game plan. The team have been working on it. He's angry. He's upset. He's got all these emotions running through his head. Yeah. He goes in there and he will perform differently. That is a fact. And, that may be a telling point in that fight.
His mind will be elsewhere.
All of those things will have affected the outcome. He now has an opportunity, and I'm glad that he's taken it, because there was debate at some point that he might not take it, to go and potentially right this wrong in his mind.
Respect to him, by the way, for not bringing that up after the fight or whatever. Right. I think that it's something that he wanted to keep private, and you've got to respect that.
That's right.
And listen, the British boxing fan in me that I am, I want Tyson Fury to win this fight so bad, because I still want to see AJ Joshua. I'm so desperate to see that fight.
Well, again,
I think actually AJ versus Tyson Fury happens if Fury loses this fight.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm going to tell you why I think that happens.
Well, let's segue, before we get into Anthony Joshua winning or losing a fight, let's segue into the fact that there's still discussions that we can't quite get the temperature of them. And I wondered where you were, Sam, on the rematch, which would now quite legitimately and rightfully be billed as Dubois versus Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
Where are you on this fight in terms of A, wanting it to happen, B, what you think is likely to happen if it does?
I think AJ being AJ, and listen, I've met him many times, but I've never sat and had a deep, dark conversations with him. I'm not like as close to him as Spencer is, but from knowing him how I believe I would know him, he will want to fight Daniel Dubois, and that's the only fight I believe he'll want, because listen, when you're Anthony Joshua and he's one of the biggest names in boxing, world boxing, right? It's just been ironed out by Daniel Dubois in front of 90,000+ people. All he'll be thinking, and all he'll be seeing on YouTube, is him getting chinned. He'll be thinking, I can beat Daniel Dubois. And I do think he can beat Daniel Dubois. I just think he got it wrong in the ring at the night, and he got hit with a concussive puncher. Anybody that's been in the ring with Daniel Dubois will tell you, Joe Joyce will tell you, that even sparring with him, Lawrence Okoli, if you let Daniel Dubois hit you in the head, you're going to be in big trouble. And he caught him very early in the fight, and
But I mean, in fairness to that observation, before we just segue into Spencer's assessment of what's happening, I was at the Joe Joyce Daniel Dubois.
You were sat right in front of me.
Yeah. And Joe Joyce,
right in front of me.
I thought Joe Joyce
on the terrace. It was like a terrace, wasn't it? It was behind closed doors.
It was during COVID,
during
absolutely,
COVID.
just post COVID. And I didn't see Joe Joyce have as much trouble with Daniel Dubois as Anthony Joshua brought upon himself.
Yeah.
So there are people that can come through his power, just for whatever reason Anthony Joshua didn't. Do you expect, if this fight is made, if it were to be made, and we'll go to Spencer in a second because he might have a different view on that, who would you expect to win?
Again, I'm a bit of an AJ fanboy, so I believe that AJ can definitely win the fight, but I think the bookies would have Daniel Dubois because he's on the crest of the wave. Who do I think? I would still go with Anthony Joshua.
Take your heart out of it.
Take my heart out of it. I still think Anthony Joshua. I still think Anthony Joshua. I love AJ. I think he could get the job done, definitely.
You think this fight's going to happen, Spence?
I don't think this fight happens next, no.
Why?
Because there's been rumours circulating that AJ has picked up a few injuries through them and he won't be ready for February the 22nd.
which is a space on the Riyadh card
and Daniel Dubois will be fighting February the 22nd, I believe. I think that's the date that they are sort of targeting.
I'm hearing names like Catterall or Parker.
No, I think Parker will be the favourite to box there. And Joseph Parker deserves that shot, by the way.
I thought Caballero was fighting.
No, I agree. He's on a great run, Joseph Parker. I agree.
And I think so is Caballero, by the way.
I think, by the way, if that happens, if we get that, we get Daniel Dubois versus Joseph Parker February 22nd. I think AJ then sits out, and if Fury loses against Usyk for the third time, we definitely get AJ Fury next. That's the way I see it.
Do you think you'd get AJ against Usyk for a third time?
Possibly.
I agree.
Possibly.
But you've got
to remember, Ben Davison really wants that fight.
Yeah, but you've got to remember AJ's just come off that loss. So I'm saying if the AJ Fury fight, if Fury loses to Usyk again, that's the big fight because they're both.
Would you see
even.
Fury wanting that fight? Because obviously we've seen AJ rebuild after 2 losses to Usyk.
Yeah.
So Fury should be afforded the same courtesy.
I think Fury does want the fight.
But AJ was put in against Jermaine Franklin and against Helenius and against Wallin and against Ngannou, not straight in against a former heavyweight champion of the world.
Fury went kind of through that stage, didn't he, when he boxed Tom Swartz and Wallin.
Yeah, but that was after he had a horrendous time outside of the ring and had to rebuild his life.
That was after the Wilder fight. Yeah, the first Wilder fight.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But you look at AJ and Tyson Fury, they're totally different characters. What I'm saying is that Fury coming off a loss wouldn't matter like who he boxed next. With AJ, it was all about the mental side of things. He needed rebuilding as a fighter.
And you lot that were in his camp all suggested that he had been rebuilt.
Yes.
And I argued with the rehabilitation process. And when he gets hit by the first person that lands on him, I think they'll have problems. And I call it PTSD.
And I hate to say you was right there.
But how do you think? I mean, if you're Anthony Joshua, you know him relatively well. I know people around him relatively well. This circle has to be square with Dubois because he's lost this fight in front of 96,000 people in the biggest event in British boxing history.
Rebuild again. Can't rebuild.
I don't think we'll rebuild
again.
Doesn't
he have to go back in against Dubois?
This is why I think AJ's not ready for 22nd of Feb. Daniel Dubois will box on 22nd of Feb. That's what I believe.
Could lose.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you can't sit around hoping for whatever. What I'm saying is if AJ's sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what happens with the FuryUsyk fight, and Fury does lose that fight, if he does lose that fight is definitely going to be the fight.
I still think though, regardless of
I'm just talking about the landscape of the way I see it.
Even if Parker beat Daniel Dubois, and then AJ went on to fight Usyk or Fury, AJ will still want to rectify that loss against Daniel Dubois. That's the man he is.
100%.
Is there another rematch between Usyk and Fury? If
Fury said there was definitely, like, if he wins that fight, there's a rubber match to be had for sure. Okay. Yeah, I was listening to an interview with him the other day. He was saying that he definitely wants the AJ fight, and he wants the third fight if he comes through, obviously on December 21st. So there's a lot of fights still to be had.
There's not much time left though.
Yeah, but there's no talk of Anthony Joshua retiring anytime soon. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, I know this.
We'll see Joshua in the ring another 4 or 5 times.
But if Fury beats Usyk, is the real demand going to be for FuryUsyk 3
AJ
or Fury Joshua?
AJ
I think
Fury.
AJ.
Just because we will all, as British fans, no matter what there's a red loss on AJ. We want to see that fight.
We're talking about the masses here as well. You go with the casual fan.
It goes beyond casual.
With the casual fan, that's what people want to see.
It's an instant sellout, isn't it? At Wembley Stadium, AJ against Fury. It's an instant sellout.
The hardcore boxing fans will scream.
Oh, Usyk,
don't want to see that.
No, not me.
Yeah, no.
I want to see AJ against Fury.
Let's pivot into the story of last week, the story of Saturday night, the story of your fighter.
Yes.
And the brilliant performance he put on against Regis Prograis. How good was Jack on Saturday night?
Jack, under the circumstances, going into the fight, I'm not Jack's definitely not one to make excuses, but Jack was very run down for the whole week. For 2 weeks, he had a completely blocked up nose, couldn't breathe at all through his nose, and he had a cracked rib. So he was going into the ring with not fully recovered. He had two proper spars before that fight with Regis Prograis. Other than that, it was just tech sparring. So Jack was nowhere near 100%. And to box the way he did, because at one stage, even I had Prograis just creeping in front. Just
after 6, 5 or 6.
After 6, but I wasn't worried because I knew Jack's so super fit. Jack's super fit. He lives the life. He's super, super fit. And I knew that Jack would get a foothold in the fight. Genuinely, I knew he would. And the way he went through the gears towards the end of the fight, which I think he still has way more gears, but he was outstanding, Jack.
I think tactically he got it absolutely spot on. Regis Prograis, he was very heavy-handed, as we know. Southpaw.
Were you concerned? I began to get a little bit concerned for him in the first sort of 3, 4, 5 rounds because I didn't feel that that he was in the fight the way I anticipated he would be. He was fighting a certain type of fight, which was keeping himself out of range and waiting for opportunity. And he did land good shots.
Patience.
But Prograis was getting stronger and more confident.
Definitely.
And getting up on his toes a lot more. And I thought when he dropped him, okay, it wasn't a heavy drop, it was just a touchdown.
He was off balance.
Yeah, it was off balance.
He was off balance. He hit him on the shoulder sort of vibe. But yeah, no, I wasn't concerned with Jack because I think that when you're in with a heavy-handed fighter such as Regis Prograis, who's very, very good but got slow feet, and I think what Jack was doing and what great fighters do, which Jack did, was he adapted to that. He was moving around. He's taking his time. He's trying to set the traps and find the holes in Regis Prograis' style. And he worked that out. And all of a sudden he's thinking, now Prograis, if I keep the space, Prograis trying to close the gap with his hands and looping the shots, but he's kept his feet behind.
But it needed
Jack
that.
was starting to make him pay for it.
As a spectacle, it needed that.
The first 4 rounds are very forgettable, right? I've got Eddie sitting there looking at me going,
what is this?
What's this? What's this? I'm like, hold on a minute, you over there.
Did he?
If he cops one here, what are you going to do with Jack after this? I mean, it's Jack.
You've got to be patient when you're fighting fighters like Regis Prograis.
Regis Prograis
That's why I was watching it.
He can turn your lights out of a shot.
And when he had to turn the screw and turn it on a little bit, he done that. And I think that turning point was round 9 when he had them 2 knockdowns.
Yeah.
But the first one was a heavy knockdown,
really
man.
Heavy.
He done well, Prograis, to get up from that. But I think once Jack hurt him like that, then he recognised and he turned it on and he dominated that last quarter of the fight. But yeah, for me, I thought it was a punch-perfect performance because you don't mess around with fighters like Prograis.
No.
Who likes you to come into the pocket and let the shots go.
Even though he weren't my favourite person during that fight week.
No.
But he was a lot of people would have... A lot of people would have...
I was waiting for you to do
A lot of people would have, like Prograis, because after the fight, he told me when Jack dropped him heavy in the I think it was the 9th round, he dropped him very heavy. He said he really badly rolled his ankle and you could see he was like rolling... He rolled his ankle really bad.
Well, he was sliding himself forward, wasn't he, rather than bouncing on his toes to get him across the field. Was there any difficulty in the middle of the ring? Because we saw fighters slipping on the vinyls on the canvas.
I don't think
that's just sweat.
Jack legitimately got... It was a knockdown, but it was so off balance. It was so off balance. It was on his neck.
The shot landed sort of like on the shoulder to the neck, but what happens is when a fighter's throwing a shot, when he sets himself, and Jack was just about to throw that left hand,
he just caught off balance.
And just as you let go, momentarily you are off balance with the shot, and the timing was perfect, obviously, from
Definitely.
Regis. And
I mean, let's have it right. In legacy terms, Jack Catterall's got to be one of the unluckiest sods around, isn't he? Because he should be undisputed.
We don't want to go down this again, but it's true.
Mate, but when you look
does that fuel him? Does that give him an extra impetus?
That's what keeps him going. I mean, look, Jack's one of those people where he's going to have a week off, he's taking his family on holiday, he'll go for a run while he's on holiday, he'll eat good, he's a gym rat, Jack, and he had 18 months, nearly 2 years in activity before I was involved with Jack, and that can ruin people's careers. Jack's now on the crest of the wave, he's on the best run of his career. Look, we've had...
Josh Taylor... Jorge Linares.
No, Josh Taylor, Darragh Foley as a comeback, Jorge Linares, Josh Taylor, Regis Prograis. Tell me a guy that's on a run like this.
I know, and I don't want to be mean-spirited, but Jorge Linares was 39 years of age on the back of 4 losses in a row.
I understand that, but
Prograis
that version of Jorge Linares...
And Prograis at the end of his career.
Yeah, but very good fighter still.
These are great profile Steelers by beating Jorge Linares. I think the compelling performance of all of them is that Josh Taylor was a live one.
Yeah.
And Josh Taylor had...
Prograis was live.
Yeah, I think
maybe I'm being a bit unfair.
If he hits somebody on the chops,
Prograis is a very good fighter still.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you're in trouble.
But that wasn't the best version of Regis Prograis. The best version of Regis Prograis, I thought, was against Josh Taylor 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, that's not taking one single thing away from Jack.
Let me say one thing about that fight. Just one thing, so I'm not going to bore you both to death. Josh Taylor fought Regis Prograis' fight.
He sat in the pocket,
and if Jack would have done that with Regis Prograis, you'd have got the same kind of fight.
No, fair enough.
You'd have got the same kind of fight.
That's not me trying to diminish Jack.
No, I know you're not.
I want him to be successful.
I'm just
and I'm just trying to qualify it.
Valid point.
But going to the observations that you will have made, and then probably even more importantly for credentials, is what Regis Prograis said in the ring afterwards. By the way, I thought that was class from both fighters. I thought for a vanquished fighter to say the things that he said
about Jack
in the ring, I thought that was a very class piece of operation for him.
Other than Josh Taylor, you won't get any fighter tell you Jack Catterall's not anything other than a special fighter.
But what did you take when you listened to him saying he's the best that he's fought, and given who he's been in with?
I think he was very gracious in defeat, very humble in defeat, and him saying that was just a testament to what a good performance and what a good fighter Jack Catterall is. And I think you got to respect that, because he's been in with some good fighters as well, Regis, and that's Devin Haney, which he lost to and lost clearly to Devin Haney. He ranks Jack above Devin Haney. Do you know what? After, going into the other guy's backyard and losing a fight, I think he was very gracious.
Very dignified.
Deceiving power as well, Jack.
It was good.
Deceiving power. He's very strong.
Underestimated, for sure.
For sure.
Where does he go next? I mean, obviously, you've got Teofimo Lopez. My understanding of the situation was potentially Liam Perro.
Yeah, you look at who Matchroom have under their banner right now. They've got Richardson Hitchens, who's fighting Liam Perro for the world title in Puerto Rico, I think on December the 7th. We're going to go out there for that fight. Teofimo Lopez, no one knows what he's doing. It's a sad situation, to be honest with you.
I'm strong on that, by the way. And he's just won the WBO international title.
No one really knows what Teofimo lives. He's just boxed Steve Claggett, whatever his name is.
That's the big fight for him, though, right? That's the big fight for him.
Jack wants the biggest fights, the most amount of money, right?
Yeah.
But he's got that burning desire to get a world championship round his waist. And that's what I have to deliver for him, and that's what Eddie Hearn has to deliver for him, and that's what we will deliver for him next year.
But winning that WBO strap at the weekend, surely that puts him. Teofimo's obviously the WBO champion. That is the fight. And Teofimo, Eddie's got a good relationship with him.
What could happen is, Spence, right? Barboza is fighting Jose Ramirez on that Billam-Smith, the one in Saudi Arabia, right? So what could happen? Teofimo Lopez could vacate it, which is what I'm being told he could do. Move up to 147, which is what he wants to be a 3-division champ. Jack could fight the winner of that fight for the vacant strap. So hopefully, in the next month or two,
it'll become clearer.
It'll become clearer.
Devin Haney's been tweeting, hasn't he, about wanting this fight and tagging in Turkey Al-Sheikh because he can see a big bag of cash.
Yeah.
Is that something you would like to see progressed, or does it really matter? Which you're going to pick them off one by one?
Like Jack, like I said about Jack, he will. I know a lot of fighters say, "I'll fight anybody. I'll fight." No, Jack will legitimately fight anybody. But he's 31. Jack, he's in the prime of his career. Wants the biggest. He wants the biggest paychecks. And let me tell you now, and I think we can all agree, he deserves it now.
Indeed.
So if we get the fight again, if we get offered to fight Devin Haney in Saudi Arabia, book our flights and we're there.
Indeed.
I've got to say, mate, he's got the beating of any of the fighters out there as well.
He has.
And I wouldn't go against him against Haney, and I wouldn't go against him against.
It's a chess match against Devin Haney.
Yeah, Lopez. But what I'm saying is, you can't say he's never going to go in there as a big underdog against any of them.
No chance.
And he's earned his right, so he should be champion.
Absolutely. And it's also nice to see that he's now getting the public support and public recognition.
That was my whole purpose, Simon.
Yeah.
My whole purpose, when I got involved with Jack 18 months ago, plus months ago, I said, look, we need to get you active. Yeah. And while this thing is happening in Saudi Arabia, which is good for boxing, don't care what anyone says, good for boxing, you've got a chance here. You've headlined three shows. You've headlined with great crowds. The one in Josh Taylor was one of the best atmospheres. You missed that one, Simon. I know you was going to come to that. You really missed, because that was one of the best atmospheres I've experienced
I would love to
for such a long time. And even Saturday, really good atmosphere. Really good atmosphere. And I love British boxing. I love to see big fights in British boxing. I love what we're doing with Jack right now, headlining him and getting.
Well, he deserves it. I mean, I saw the reaction from the fan base. He said that Chorley's getting a good mention. I saw the Speaker of the House of Commons gave him a tweet wishing him well, because he represents the constituency of Chorley, doesn't he?
Yes.
So he's getting accolades from all the good and great. Talking about something that wasn't so great, apart from you turning up looking like Ryland today, is this voice note scenario at the press conference.
I'm a bit greyer and fatter than Ryland, but
there is a similarity though, mate.
Listen, don't start me on that, because I will start the short jokes on you.
No, come on, mate.
I've got a wonderfully sharp, crispy beard. But yeah, if we could, I suppose there's possibly. I'm a bit fatter though. I've got a bit of a fat.
Well, we're like the Polonek twins. He's like my little ventriloquist dummy.
But
I've now got Polonek.
Don't start with that, by the way, as well, because you know where this come from. Please. Who started this trend off?
Short people shouldn't wear Polonek.
Oh, see what I mean? That's all you two have got. He's like...
Was it...
I can wear Cuban heels, mate. It's not a problem.
It is. Short jokes can never get old, though, can they? They can't get old.
It's forever.
It is forever, yeah.
But was it a bit of a moment for you? Because, I mean, the best thing you can do is take it well, right, and roll with it. Did you put up any of the tweets you said you were going to? I've got loads of on you, Reed. Just go watch social media.
Do you know what it was, Simon, right? When he said it to me, this is me, both hands to God, right? I forgot all about it. And it wasn't voice notes, what people keep saying. It was a telephone call, right? A Zoom call.
I'm not sure you should have done that, by the way.
Come on. Listen, we're all human. So, listen, so basically, what happened was I was working for a company 3 years ago. It was trying to make the fight between Regis against Jack. I'm not going to convince Regis Prograis to take the fight against Jack Catterall, who I wasn't working with at the time, to convince him by saying, by the way, you're going to get soundly out-pointed and get your nugget punched off. So, I forgot it.
Sounds like someone's rewriting history.
But if you weren't working with him, why was you trying to get the fight for him?
Because Regis was representing the company I was working for at the time. And Jack was coming into the company. I wasn't representing either, but I was working for the company. Right, so I was trying to make the fight happen. So anyway, they've done that. And yes, Regis had my pants down. I didn't expect it. And I was like, when I said it, I was thinking, he's not got that. And when he did it, I was like, my backside turned into a water slide. I was like this, and I started sounding like Gareth Gates in the Pop Idol audition, and he turned me into a meme. But I did say to Regis, your last win of your career will be against me. And I was right.
Wow. Sam Jones lost for words. Well, that's the first time. And possibly the last time we'll ever see it.
I did say to him when he got in the ring, like we had a little exchange, like sorry, and I was like, oh yeah, it's fine, no problem. But he did 10-7.
No, but you're a showman, Sam. You can weather that sort of nonsense.
Shark skin.
I want to talk about the undercard for Usyk Fury. Before I do this, I just want to read out a quote from Andy Lee that's just been attributed to him, which I think is entirely in keeping with what we've said when discussing the fight, which is Sugar Hill should have been the only voice in the first fight, and he will be the only voice in the second fight.
I like that.
So that's an interesting development.
I like that.
Who said that? Andy Lee.
Andy Lee.
Yeah, I like that. Listen, Andy will.
He's a boxing man, isn't he? He knows.
Yeah, absolutely. He totally understands it. He's been there. He's been in that situation. He knows what it takes for the boxer. I think that is first and foremost. That's very respectful of him doing that, and I think that's great because what will happen is Andy's input. He will whisper in the ear of Sugar Hill. Sugar Hill will put over the information.
There'll be one line of communication.
Yeah, absolutely.
One voice.
That gives me a lot more confidence for Tyson in that fight. I think.
Well, we still got to deal with Usyk. You can have one communication as much as you want. You still got to beat Usyk.
Yeah, that's right.
True. We will see. Listen, one of the press conferences that TalkSport were allowed to attend was the press conference relating to the undercard. And let's start with Johnny Fisher's fight with Dave Allen.
Yeah.
Johnny's on a good run. There has been reticence about whether Dave Allen should continue fighting in previous times. He is continuing fighting. This is a potential banana skin for Johnny Fisher, isn't it?
Well, no. Do you know what?
No?
Well...
Yes, no?
It could... Dave Allen's got a lot of experience. Trouble is with Dave Allen is that you've got to go back to, 2018 when he lost to David Price in probably the last meeting. Oh, sorry, Frazer Clarke actually, he had in 2023.
Yeah. And that was an unimpressive performance.
Yeah, that was an unimpressive, exactly. But you look at it and you go, he's not really been competing at any sort of level. And you look at Johnny Fisher and where Johnny's at the moment, the momentum he's got, that Alan Babbage, that savage performance he put in against him, and the way that he obliterated him, you just go, it's a tough night, whatever way you want to look at it. Right, Sam? 12 weeks or not training, because that's what Dave Allen was saying. He said, don't give me 12 weeks. I will turn up with a different fighter. He's very, very confident. We interviewed him. Yeah. And so he should be going into the fight. But
he's training with Jamie Moore, Dave Allen. I mean, listen, I actually did the fight for Dave. Because listen, Dave, get on Dave, I get on great with Jamie. Jamie is one of my closest friends in boxing, and I've done it as a favour for Dave as well. But with John, yeah, it is. Believe it is. I did it for Dave as a favour, and I think he deserves it. Do you know what I mean, Dave?
I agree.
He's got 2 young kids. He had a bit of a tough ride towards the end. And I thought, listen, I'll do that.
Listen, he's going to give it a go for sure.
And let me tell you about Johnny Fisher. No amateur experience, right? He's had a few rounds, but he had that tough fight against Harry Armstrong for the Southern Area title.
He had 10 amateurs.
But yet,
I know. I thought you were saying he hadn't boxed, but he had 10.
Barely, right? In this, Johnny, people forget, he wasn't meant to turn pro. He was meant to go and work in a law firm somewhere. He wasn't meant to turn pro. He came over to spar Joe Joyce for Danny Dubois fight, and I said, he can fight. And his co-manager, Adam Mott, I was like, he can fight, he can see his fight. He's got all the attributes, good chin, brave, and he's turned into a really good fighter. So people think this is a mismatch, and I understand why. But Dave has it in his locker. Dave had good amateur pedigree. Dave's got it to mess it. You saw what he did with Frazer Clarke. He messed it. Can Johnny deal with that? Look, we wouldn't put Johnny in a fight. I wouldn't put Johnny in a fight that I don't think he's going to win, right? But can Dave ask some questions of Johnny? Absolutely.
Well, given your charitable status towards Dave Allen and the potential billing of it as a banana skin, why don't we hear what Dave Allen himself said about the impending fight?
This is a winnable fight. That's how I see it. I could have probably boxed a Talma, could have boxed a few other names, but I didn't see them as winnable. Johnny Fisher fight, yeah, I can beat him. I fully expect to beat him. If they give me 12 weeks notice, I think they're mad me. 12 weeks notice. I said, you what? 12 weeks notice, watch Johnny Fisher. Sound, I'll beat him. Johnny Fisher's not as good as I think he is now. No, you know what? Johnny Fisher knows what he is. Johnny Fisher's super intelligent. Johnny Fisher knows. Eddie and whoever's around him, they think he's better than he is.
He's going to say that, and he's got to say that.
Yeah, of course he has, but he does sound confident, Spence. So,
listen,
ultimately...
like I said to you, he said, listen, give me 12 weeks camp, and I'll turn up and I'll be a different fighter. Whether he can implement that in the fight or not is a different kettle of fish. I just think the momentum's with Johnny Fisher. I think he's improving all the time, and he's a dangerous fighter and one to watch for the future. I think he starts a huge favourite in this. I'll be surprised if Dave Allen sort of makes the final bell, if I'm honest.
Talking about what Dave said, he also talked about Moses Atuma and not wanting to go anywhere near him because he's too good. You spoke to Moses Atuma.
Yeah, tremendous fighter, Moses.
He's an exciting fighter. There's a lot of background noise around him, which he probably needs to block out because every time he goes anywhere, he gets the treatment of you're the next thing coming, you're going to be the superstar. So all of that, I think, is not great for him to hear, and he needs to have a level head on his shoulders. But he's in with Dempsey McKean. Dempsey McKean went 12, didn't he, with Philip Hergovich?
Yeah.
So this is a good test for him,
Got
isn't it?
stopped in the last round.
Last round, didn't he?
Yeah, it's a great test for him. Dempsey McKean is really fancying this, by the way, as well. I spoke to him as well. He's up for it, as he should be.
Nothing to lose, is he?
No, exactly, yeah. But he just sees it as... Do you know what Dempsey McKean's thinking? This is truthfully what he's thinking.
He's a kid.
19-year-old kid. I know he's good. I know, but I'm going to outman him. That's what he's thinking. But Moses Atuma is like... That kid is exceptional. Like he is... Yeah. It's not if he wins a world title, it's
but it's his biggest test so far, isn't it?
I watched him spar against Joe.
He bombed out Maris Wack, who's got a good resume as well.
Yeah. Moses literally finished school... I think he was 15 or 16 and came to spar Joe Joyce. I remember him coming to Stallard's boxing gym and I was thinking, he's a good fighter. Yeah. He's a good kid. He's going to be a seriously good kid. And listen, he is. He's a very, very good kid. But I don't think you can ever really judge someone.
Great matchmaking, though.
Great matchmaking until they get to where someone's... Like Dempsey McKean, that's a live opponent. So we'll know a lot more about Moses Atuma after this fight.
He also said, Moses spoke of Johnny Fisher, saying he quite fancies that. He's not going to chase it, I think was the terminology. But from your point of view, you look after Johnny Fisher.
Yeah, it's
is this something that you see happening in the foreseeable future or something you'd want to happen?
Or do you wait for a belt?
No, come on, Spencer, right? It's very simple. If the package is right, if the money's right for Johnny Fisher, he would fight Moses Atuma next.
That's why we got Riyadh season.
So if they come, if I know what Fabio Wardley and Frazer Clarke got, and you look at their profiles, I'm not saying Johnny's above them because he isn't. That's
a wet weekend in Stoke, apparently.
He's a wet weekend in Stoke.
Why is he a wet weekend in Stoke?
Because he's tough, and you will have to flatten Johnny to win him. He's that type of kid. He is that type of kid. Moses Atuma, all the pressure's on him. He's the one they want him to break Mike Tyson's records. Johnny's just like, I could win a British title, could win a world title, might not win any of them. We don't know. But all the pressure will be on Moses Atuma. So if they want to do that fight, give us a call. We'll do it next.
There you go.
So, ahead of his cruiserweight unification fight in Riyadh, we are joined today by Chris Billam-Smith. Chris, nice to see you. How's training going, mate?
Yeah, all good, thanks, mate. Nice to see you too. How are you keeping? You all good?
We're all good. Big fight coming up. How's the camp going?
Yeah.
How's your camp going?
Yeah, all good, all good. It's different, and I haven't fought many southpaws, so I've had a lot of southpaw sparring, figuring lots out, which is exciting. It's a new challenge for me. It's you know, the lads we've had to get in are good lads, good few amateur lads, and some pros as well. So it's been a good mix, and I'm just excited. It's a great opportunity for me.
Yeah, Chris, Gilberto Ramirez is the fighter. He's only lost 1 out of 47, actually, and that was to Dimitri Bivol. He's moved up now to cruiserweight. He's big. He's a southpaw. How do you deal with a fight like that? Because he's actually a good body puncher as well, who puts combinations together. Stylistically, you two should be a match made in heaven.
Yeah, exactly that. And like you said, it's I think with his style and my style, but him coming up to cruiserweight is the key. It's my division. It's something that I'm very comfortable at, and something I can set an uncomfortable pace at for any cruiserweight in the world. Obviously, he's used to a decent pace with coming up from light heavyweight, but no one can live with it at cruiserweight. The pace that I set.
How you doing, Chris? Are you okay?
Hi, Sam. You right?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Chris, you know...
Congrats on the weekend, by the way.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Not my defeat, but... So, you're fighting in Saudi Arabia this time. Is this the first time you've travelled to box?
Yeah, as a pro, yeah, I did it once as an amateur a long time ago.
Is that something you've factored into your preparations? I know you've got a massive crowd that supports you. Is this something you've factored into your preparations for this fight? 'Cause it's going to be it's a bit of a different vibe out there. So have you factored that into your preparations?
Yeah, for sure. You know, luckily I boxed behind closed doors in lockdown a couple of times. So had it when there was minimal people in Matchroom's back garden as well. So that was good. But yeah, the trip over abroad as well with the aircon and sorting all that stuff out in terms of getting used to that and getting certain things that you need. A few adjustments here and there, and yeah, making sure my sleep's on point as well.
No, brilliant. So this is a good fighter. He's a top fighter. But I've got you as a good favourite in that fight. But have you got any eyes on what's next, or is it just purely focused on what's in front of you?
No, I always like to have a plan. You know, I always like to have a plan what's next, and I think that keeps me motivated. That was after Richard, it was aiming at unifications. Now after the unification, it'll be Jaya Pataya. That's the only fight out there after this fight. I can't see any way we don't fight each other after I get through this one.
Yeah, amazing fight. That's the one we all want to see.
We had Jaya Pataya in the studio the other week, and I'm going to play you a piece of VT in a minute, Chris. But before I do that, I just wanted to ask you a question about where you are. I mean, obviously you've gone in against a Khelif, won the world title. You defend it against Masterneck in Bournemouth, which I came and saw, and you defend it against Riakporhe. How do you look at it now? Do you feel that you're an established world champion now with all the credentials that go with it? Because it's often said that once you win a world title, you elevate up by 10%. You've now gone in and defended it twice. And a lot of people were picking Riakporhe in that fight. And sorry, mate, I was one of them and you've proved me wrong again. So how do you feel about the whole resume of work that you've done now? Bona fide top draw world champion going in against another belt holder.
Yeah, it's good, but I think I'm pleased with where I'm at. But every fight I have, it's like I'm not satisfied. I'm not satisfied with where I'm at, and it's looking at Ramirez now, and I feel like if I wasn't to go in and do what I need to do, then I'd be massively disappointed with my career as a whole. In a sense, you know what I mean? I think that's what drives me, and that's just the mindset I have. But I think until I retire, I'm not going to be happy with the body of work that I've done, and I think that's just the way I'm wired mentally.
Yeah, I think that, Chris, you've won pretty much everything there is to win now, and it's all about setting yourself new goals, bigger goals. Jaya Pataya obviously is the guy that's considered the monster of that division, and that's a challenge that you're going to want to motivate yourself moving forward if you come through against Ramirez.
Yeah, for sure. That's the fight that everyone speaks about. Obviously, we did get offered it for October, but I was away on holiday when we got offered it for a family holiday for a few weeks. And I would have had about 6-7 weeks training. I said, look, I'll be ready in November. If you want it in November, then November, December, I'm happy. But obviously he wanted to fight on October 12th. Our timelines didn't match up this time. So I've, thankfully still got a unification fight. He had a good performance against Jack Massey last time out, so it just builds the fight even more. I've got to go and do a number on Zerdo now, and then hopefully we can get it on.
As I said, Chris, we had him in the studio the other day, Jaya Pataya, and he talked about you taking the Ramirez fight. Let's have a listen to what he had to say. If you go in there, Chris Billam-Smith, with 2 belts, then you get yourself to the table where you can have a proper grown-up conversation about how the money is distributed rather than sit there and take what his team might be prepared to offer you.
I offered him more. I offered him more out of my paycheck. It
depends. If you're getting 80% and he's getting 20%,
no.
That
There was a budget, and then they wanted to split it 50-50, and I gave him more. I offered him more.
More than 50-50?
More than 50-50. I offered him extra out of my purse so it would happen. I want these unification fights. Like I said it to my manager. My manager goes, "What?" I go, "Why not? Like I'm not like I'm doing this for a bigger purpose. You know, this the money will come. What do I got to run around and collect other belts? If I believe I'm the best, I'm actually a bit. I'm gutted that they're actually fighting and having a unification fight without me. I wanted to collect them one by one.
Yeah.
So there was no argument about it.
Right.
But unfortunately, it didn't happen like that.
That was Chris, and you heard it for yourself, was me saying to him, I make Chris right to go and win the next title he wants so he can bring it to the table and have a proper financial negotiation with you, because my perception was that you think, or it's thought that you're the beast of the division, so you'll demand all the finances. So I made you right, was my point. When you hear what he's saying, A, is it true that they offered you a purse that actually was bigger than his purse and he was taking some from his end? And when you listen to that, what do you take away from it?
The money was never an issue, or never, like, it was just I don't even think the got to my ears the money. They said the date, and I said I need longer than that. Like, I'm not gonna. The money isn't an issue. I'm sure I would have got paid more for Oppenheimer than I would have Zerdo. But it's not about the money. It's about giving me the right amount of time to prepare for a fight. And
you want to be going into the fight 100%.
No.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's more than fair enough.
Yeah, any fight as well.
When you're putting preparation,
in October,
a fight of that magnitude, there, he's got to go in there fully prepared.
No, but when you're putting preparation before the money, it tells you that he's in the right headspace.
And he wants to
he's
go
doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah, he wants to go in there and win it, not just compete. Yeah,
sure.
Fair enough.
Before I let you go, Chris, and by the way, good luck for 2 weeks' time. And I'm not going to tip you because every time I've bet against you, you've won. So you don't want me tipping you, right? Because ultimately that could be the other side of the equation. Have you heard that Lawrence Okolie's now been ranked in the WBC as the number 5 heavyweight? You fought him. What do you make to that? And is that a likely path for you if you achieve what you want to achieve, which is winning all the belts in the cruiserweights? Do you see yourself following that pathway as well?
I mean, fair play to Lawrence. He's massive at the weight. The rankings are the rankings. I think that's the best way to put it. He won a WBC at Bridgerweight and he's gone up. To be honest, I don't see me going up to heavyweight at the moment. Like I said, although I like to look ahead, I don't look too far in the future, and I've got a lot of business to do at cruiserweight. There's 2 fights, massive fights ahead of me in terms of Zerdo and then Oppenheimer, and they're what I'm focused on, and I haven't really thought much beyond that, to be honest, at the moment. Maybe after the Zerdo fight, if we can get the Oppenheimer fight made, then I'll think about beyond that. But yeah, Lawrence is a lot bigger at the weight than I am. You know, he's 6'5", huge wingspan, and has always been a big lad. But I've filled into the weight over the years, and I'm perfect at cruiserweight. I mean, never say never, but at the moment, heavyweight's not the plan. Chris, listen, thanks for joining us. Good luck with the fight.
Good luck,
after
Chris.
you've won, we'll hope to have you come in the studio and tell us all about it. Nice to see you, mate. Take it easy.
Cheers, gents.
Good luck, mate.
Good luck.
Picking up from the Okolie stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you make to that? I mean, I can't, I'm sorry, irrespective of whether Jay Oppenheimer mentioned it, I can't take the Bridgerweight division particularly seriously in terms of him being a 2-belt world champion. He's gone straight in at number 5 as a WBC, which I think is laughable.
Because he won the WBC Bridgerweight title.
Am I wrong, Sam?
No.
That's just. I think that's just the WBC rules. I mean, is it
because
should it happen? Probably, who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Listen,
it's not something.
It was because he knocked out Lucas Rozansky in that first round out in Poland. We was out there actually. Yeah. He looked much better.
But there were 5 better fighters in the heavyweight division.
Well, you've got Fabio Wardley in at 7.
Lucas Rozansky is not very good
Joshua's
as well,
in
by
at
the
6.
Yeah.
Fabio Wardley's in at 7. You know, and you look at that and you go, they've whacked him straight in at number 5. He's actually calling out Zhale Zhang, who's in at number 4. Yeah, so he doesn't want to be playing around with like having these sort of build-up fights. He
was on with you on the weekend, wasn't he, on TalkSport?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And he was talking about they're the fights that he wants. He wants the big names.
When you close your eyes, right? I mean, I like Lawrence, right? And I've followed his career, and some of the fights that we've seen him in have been uninspiring. And Chris was brilliant. And I went to the fight in Bournemouth. I think you were there as well, weren't you?
Yeah, he was very good.
Chris was brilliant in that night, and we had to dig deep because I think he was in trouble in the sort of 3rd or 4th round in that fight, and came back and dealt with Lawrence. But Lawrence has this stigma that follows him, that ultimately he doesn't do enough in certain fights. I mean, obviously he was better when he won the world title in the Bridgerweight because he went and let his hands go.
Yeah.
Do you think that he can do
something significant in the heavyweight division? Do you in your mind's eye, when you close your eyes and you think of Lawrence and you close your mind and you think of him against Chris and you think of him in other fights, do you think that he's going to make a dent in the heavyweight division, or is he just going to get more money for being in there?
I do. Personally,
you do.
I'll tell you why. Do you want to go first?
Who do you see him beat?
The reason why I do.
I can say first, because I've watched him spar so many rounds, and when Lawrence is sparring at a comfortable weight, I honestly do think, and I'm not making excuses for Lawrence. I've got nothing. I'm not managing him. I've got no allegiance to Lawrence Okoli, but I do think he's zapped of energy when he's boiling his frame down. He's a massive man, Lawrence Okoli. Right. He's huge. When he used to spar Joe Joyce, I just think, he's going to be a hard man to beat, and I do think as he's got older, it's all caught up to him. I do think he can cause problems in the heavyweight division because he can crack.
So you see him in meaningful fights. You see him beat Zhili Zhang or an Ajak Kabayel or a Bakoli or any of those guys?
Listen, only time will tell that as
the hardest man in the world to beat.
Yeah, but hold on. Only time will tell that as in when we see him competing at heavyweight. And I'm with you on that. And that's why I wanted you to go first on him, because I think Lawrence Okoli was dead at cruiserweight. He couldn't make the weight, 6'5", big frame. He's much better when you see him sparring.
I'm just basing my opinion on what I've seen physically.
When he holds his own, listen, him sparring Anthony Joshua got him into it anyway. He recognised where he was at and where he could be. Even in the heavyweight division, he talked about sparring with Joshua and actually finding himself comfortable in the heavyweight division. I think you'll see not so negative performances from Lawrence.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Because when you're making the weight, you know the first thing that goes when you make weight is your punch resistance.
Yeah.
Lawrence knew how tough it was to make that weight. We saw against Chris Billam-Smith, he was going down with half-hit shots, and you're going, this guy's lost all his punch resistance.
Yeah.
The confidence that you saw when he boxed Lucas Rosansky, when he took the fight to him, is because he was more comfortable at the weight. Right. So he's comfortable with his resistance at heavyweight.
So you think this is right? And
I think he's going to be a force at heavyweight.
He should have done it. He should have done it soon. I know he obviously got paid well against Billam-Smith, but I am not playing down Chris Billam's performance because he was brilliant that night. But I'll give Lawrence a right good shout in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think
he's going
to be a different. He'll be a different fighter.
It'll be
at
interesting
heavyweight.
to watch, won't it?
Yeah.
Whether he should have gone in at number 5 in the WBC is a kind of
completely different argument, isn't it?
It's interesting though that he's the one that's calling out Zhili Zhang. Give me Martin Bakoli. Give me any of the big names. Put me in there, and that's not because he's cashing out. I think he truly believes that he wants to make his mark, and he's not like, oh, let me fight a.
His stock's gone down since the Billam. As soon as he lost,
because of the negative performances.
Yeah, the negative. Yeah. He's had a few, as you say, not very memorable performances. But like I say, I've seen him box in the gym, seen him spar, and if he transfers that, if he's that in the heavyweight division, he can cause a lot of problems.
When you saw that, was he weighing heavyweight?
That's what I say. He was weighing at heavyweight.
At heavyweight, what would you expect him to walk around? What would you expect him to be?
He's a big guy. 17 stone.
Yeah. Genuinely big.
Yeah, absolutely. He honestly, Simon, that kid boils himself down like you wouldn't believe.
Simon.
Outside of making weight, you look at him, you go, he's a fully fledged heavyweight.
To me, I know he's got a big wingspan and he's very lanky. I didn't look at the physicality of him being in the same sort of weight perspective as Joshua, because you're talking about that, aren't you?
Deontay Wilder, where you look at it, Deontay Wilder can make cruiserweight. You look at Lawrence,
he hasn't got
outside of things and think,
legs,
how on earth do you make cruiserweight? He's huge.
And I think that played a part in his negative performances because he was his toughest fight was the scales as opposed to the opponent.
Yeah, I agree.
And that is true. And I think that's why we may see a different way. Only time will tell.
But now his runway is clear. Ultimately, we'll have none of those challenges now, because if he's going to fight in a weight class that enables him to be strong at the weight and physically able to do the things that we have criticised him not for doing in the past, which is being aggressive, then good luck to him.
Yeah,
good luck to him. And for him, if he gets a shot at a world title, then that will be in 3 divisions, and Lawrence will have a legacy to look back on if he managed to get himself into a space like that. Absolutely. Before we go, remiss of me not to mention the rumours circulating around about Eubank Jr. versus Canelo. I mean, Ben Shalom will be all over this like a bad suit.
Well, that's what I think Eubank has said. Look,
he wears quite
he knows the Conor Ben fight's there whenever for him. So I think that for Eubank, it was always about getting the Canelo fight. He said that he wanted to challenge himself. He wants that world title shot. He would choose Canelo over Ben because Ben's always going to be there. And Ben's got his own issues going on at the moment, and we don't know when he's going to be allowed back in the ring. So Canelo's the obvious fight.
Wembley Stadium?
I don't believe the fight's going to happen in a million years.
Why?
Just from what I'm hearing, I don't believe the fight will happen in a million
Why?
years. And I would
But you're Conor Ben's mate, though. That's
It's
right.
not about even being Conor Ben's mate. I'm just. It's like,
what
it's like when
about
Terence. He was meant to fight Terence Crawford. He was meant to fight Canelo.
But if the money's on the table, mate, the fight will happen.
But that's a
Yeah,
different
but
thing, isn't it? That's
he's-
stepping up 2 weight divisions for Terence Crawford, isn't it?
I'm just giving you. I'm putting my neck on that fight does not happen.
What, because Eubank doesn't really want it,
Don't.
or because the mechanics
No, I
of the
just
Don't put the hand up to God, though.
No.
Don't do that.
We're not going to do that again. We're not
2
gonna-
hands to God.
2 hands to God. I don't believe that fight will happen. I'll have a side bet with you there, Spencer.
But you're not telling us why.
I'm just from what I'm hearing. I'm just from what I'm hearing. I
Because
don't
of the
believe-
economics, because of the reality.
Just why on earth would Canelo Alvarez come and fight Chris Eubank Jr.?
Because he wants to fight Britain.
Okay.
So Eubank Jr. is a big name in Britain.
I agree he is, but I just don't think that. I don't.
Because he wants to avoid
Interesting.
fighting Benavides.
Maybe,
Well, absolutely.
maybe that's the fight I want to see. I want to
Yeah,
see.
but
I want to
everybody
see
wants to
Conor
see that,
Ben,
exactly.
Conor Ben against Eubank, and I want to see Canelo fight David Benavidez.
Is it the right fight for Chris Eubank, though? Just out of curiosity.
Absolutely. It's a fight.
What, because you want Conor Ben in there with him?
Yeah.
He makes
Conor Ben
triple
remembers a
what he
welterweight.
earns against Conor Ben, against a welterweight rather than Canelo Alvarez. They've already offered Eubank Jr. that fight and he turned it down.
Yeah,
But surely for you, hang on, you with your vested
It's
They-
about,
they-
it's
I'll
about
tell you-
legacy.
yeah, but
It's
no,
about,
but
if it's a-
they
hold on a
turned
minute,
it down
it's
because
about legacy.
They
Hang on
offered
with
him
your
the
vested
fight with
interest,
4
right?
weeks preparation.
Legacy of what?
Pardon?
Are you suggesting there's more legacy for Chris Eubank to fight Conor Ben?
No, you didn't hear. I said if it was about legacy for Chris Eubank Jr., he'd have already boxed Canelo.
No, because he only had 4 weeks preparation. He wanted to go in with the right preparation. Because Canelo, as you know,
But that's not the
only
same
gives his
question,
opponents the right preparation. No, but what he's saying is...
But it's not the same question.
Yeah.
The question is it right for Chris Eubank? So if it's about legacy, if it's about an opportunity, you say he would have fought
I think
him when he's now got an opportunity to fight him. It must be the right
in
fight.
your
for him,
words, it's a grotesque mismatch.
for fighting Conor Ben.
No.
Yeah, it's
against
fighting Conor Ben, yeah.
I genuinely don't believe that.
Well, not financially, you probably don't know.
No,
because you've got vested interest.
No, I haven't got any vested interest. I'm just saying it as my opinion. I think you can't say to me, Eubank Jr. against Canelo is a closer fight than Conor Ben against Eubank. Eubank against Conor Ben is a much closer fight
Eubank,
than
yeah, but
against
they're
Canelo
two
against
totally
Eubank.
different
No, but
weight
it's
divisions
legitimate.
against-
It's weight class against weight class.
Yeah.
We're taking Conor Ben up from 147 to 160.
Conor Ben spars middleweights regularly, though.
Sure, but there's a reason why he fights at
Regularly.
147, isn't there?
Come on, Eubank Jr. against Canelo is not competitive. Come on,
But
guys.
they're what they but they're the
Come on,
same weight
Simon.
division. That's what he's saying, and you go, what? Like,
Yeah, but,
I get it.
Yeah,
You go,
but
like,
I'm probably the same weight as you. It's not going to be. It's not going to be competitive, is it?
No. Well, all right. You've got to give me some sort of.
So
chance,
could
you know
lean
what
on
I mean?
you.
We're divided. I
I'm with you.
would prefer to see Eubank Jr. in a fight where the accusations that people make about the fact that he doesn't actually take the meaningful fights. He talks about getting good fights, and really all we're doing is fueling his house in Las Vegas and his poker habit. I'd like to see him go and fight Canelo Alvarez, put himself to the test, because if he put in a good performance, or even if, God forbid, for him and the fact that we'd have to listen to it forever, he won, then the opportunities would be great. You think it's a complete mismatch, but I think it's the right move for him
I'm
to take.
with you.
And he's going to get paid big bucks for it as well.
You've got to go for. You got to like. Eubank
got it
Jr.
Wembley,
has always been slagged off because he's not taking the meaningful fights. He gets the world title opportunities. He's not taking them. You go into the circus that's Conor Ben and Chris Eubank, because that's what it is right there. Two totally
But
different weights.
it's a stadium sellout.
Yeah, but what I'm
against
saying
Conor
is,
Ben.
but it's again, that's him just taking the money as opposed to fulfilling the dream. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now he does a bit.
Now
With,
he's
and with Canelo,
fulfilling his
he does a
dream.
bit of both. He gets paid decent dough. He gets lots of credibility, and he gets a shot at something that people have accused him of not doing.
I completely understand it. And if it was on,
And he still gets Conor Ben afterwards.
and
Conor Ben fight's always going to be
But the
there.
thing is, what you say, you're asking me if would I? Of course,
Tragically.
if Eubank Jr. boxed Canelo Alvarez, I'm gonna go or I'm gonna pay the 14 quid or whatever, 20 quid to watch it for sure. But I just want to see Conor Ben against Eubank.
Okay. Right. That's it for episode 93 of Talk Boxing. Spencer, thanks very much. You're going back to Good Morning Britain, Sam, and we'll see you next time we're out.